Welcome back, everyone, to the Hearthstone Masters Tour in Las Vegas. As you guys get a live shot of the players, there's APX Void, next to him PNC, to the left of him Ant, and of course Language Hacker, just a seat over or two. That is just the beginning of the caliber of talent that we have featured here in the Link Hotel in on the Vegas Strip. My name is Frodan. I'm joined by my partner in crime, Mr. TJ Sanders, and we're going to be bringing you guys round number 3 with our featured match being CaraCute versus wtybill. If you guys know Bill, you may have heard of him through a championship appearance back in 2016. You also may know him as one of the most popular streamers in Hearthstone over on the Chinese streaming websites. Yep. And wtybill has a very loyal fan base, and the guy has brought a Bomb Warrior, although it's got a lot of spicy tech in the primary deck. He's got the Geppetto Joybuzz, the Barista Lynchin. He's got the Sephorian Bombers. And then CaraCute, what does she bring, TJ?
Bringing a mech Paladin, which is very interesting. And it's gotten a little more refined. We'll talk about that more in a second, but we do want to touch on Bill's deck. And you can see just how long the list is. It only has a few 2-ofs.
It's a Reno Warrior deck.
It's almost a Reno Warrior deck. On our Battlefight page where we look at the deck list, we have to scroll down. It doesn't even fit on one page.
Can't screenshot it.
You can't even screenshot it. It's kind of ridiculous. And like you mentioned, the Youthful Brewmaster, interesting Barista Lynchin, but also like a Sephorian Bomber. It's like all in on battle cries. So it's like all in on Barista Lynchin value and resource generation with Joybuzz plus Archivist Elysiana.
And he's got the double EMP operative in his secondary list. It's madness. Looking at CaraCute's deck list, she's got the Mech Paladin package. Now, it seems like a lot of decks that play Ziliax and really want to have that in their mid game are dependent on Countess Ashmore. And I like this setup a lot better than just having the normal setup of Prismatic Lens, because I think it could be very awkward to say the least. So I personally believe in it. CaraCute was wise enough to put 2 copies of Glowstone Technician in her deck.
Whoa.
TJ, that card is awesome.
Yep.
And also, you know, all memes aside, I actually do think it's really important for her to include things like Consecration. I do think that comebacks onto the board with this deck can be very tricky.
Yep. And Lightforge Blessing as well, which even in our America's Grandmasters broadcast last week when Strife Crow brought the deck, we felt like it was lacking something, right?
Right.
Countess Ashmore and Lightforge Blessing and having Consecration in the main deck feel like those are the tools that may push it over the edge.
Right.
And honestly, the matchup against Warrior, I feel like is good even without those cards. I feel like you have the longevity with Kangor's Endless Army, and with a field full of Warriors here at the Masters Tour Las Vegas, CaraCute already off to a 2-0 start. And I feel like that can get even higher.
Yeah, Paladin crushes Warrior. I think this is one of Warrior's worst matchups if they don't have Silence. That being said, wtybill, I mean, not having Silence as a deck is going to be very tricky to deal with.
Yeah. It's hard. You kind of have to play the pressure game plan, but then Ziliax and Lightforge Blessing kind of like ruin that game plan off the get-go, because you're magnetizing such large minions that those cards are going to get an insane amount of lifesteal value.
Yep, and for CaraCute's perspective, she doesn't have to necessarily play super fast onto the board early, because it's not like wtybill has a more aggressive deck. But he does have options, right? He does have that one of Sephorian Bomber in his hand. He has his legendaries, which apparently is just what he started to build his deck off of. He typed legendary in the search bar, and then proceeded to add, you know, 7 or 8 cards. Then, you know, this looks good. Let's build it from the rest. What's actually really funny is that his deck almost looks similar to an autocomplete in this situation, because like when you put in legendaries and you autofill, it'll fill in with the rest of like the important core cards. So it's like, okay, let's put these 7 legendaries in my deck, and then let the deck builder complete it, and it just fills in the rest with like Warpath, Clockwork Goblin, Shield Block, Brawl. It's like, all right.
Even some of the cards that you'd expect to be 2-ofs in the deck, like Warpath and like a Mega Assembly, or even Eternium Roper or Brawl, those are all 1-offs. It's a Militia Commander. I mean, he's got Town Crier in the deck, and his only rush minions are 1 Militia Commander and 1 Ziliax. That's it. Very interesting lineup.
Yeah. CaraCute with the turn 2 Galvanizer Glowstrong combination. This is good. To just make sure you get the early game snowball. If you give Warrior too much time, that is definitely a recipe for disaster. And yes, you want to stack as much as you can onto individual minions for Kango's Endless Army, but you have to remember to not let Warrior have an opportunity to beat you. And by giving them time, you're allowed to do that. Look at how wtybill is fighting for tempo. He's playing a Youthful Brewmaster.
Yeah, it's very interesting because it already dies to the Galvanizer on board.
Oh.
And it protects the life total by having the Eternium Rover like stick on board. It's kind of a weird way to try and fight for tempo, but honestly the only way that wtybill has to fight for tempo at the moment. Bronze Gatekeeper Skaterbot picked up.
Yeah, so one thing that is also worth noting is that had CaraCute be holding Glowstone Technician, she probably wouldn't play anything until turn 5, because that's how you really power load the Warrior. In this instance, I'm not really seeing too much here from CaraCute. I would be okay with just a hero power. You have to be mindful of their ability to coin out a 4-mana play. In this case, wtybill only has 1 Militia Commander. He's playing the 1 Town Crier, 1 Militia Commander, Ziliax combination. And it's not super consistent, so I think she'll be fine here with just a hero power. She chooses instead to invest to the Skaterbot. And I personally think Skaterbot is one of the more valuable cards in just Paladin, because it lets you utilize both sides of like Mechanoegg, for example. You can trade in Mechanoegg and then have the 8/8 come out and then rush into something else.
It shores up one of the biggest weaknesses of Mech Paladin in the past, which is the fact that yes, you can pop Mechanoegg, but then you're giving up your defenses because of it. And maybe it was to set up for this kind of play, but she still had the mana to play Skaterbot alongside it. A little bit interesting. Maybe it's about pressure. I don't know. She has so much value in her hand already with double Mechanoegg plus Phases Manipulator.
Right. It's not like it was out of range of a Wrench Caliber either. So CaraCute investing more into her mech, I mean, it's going to pay off if she finds a Kangors. For now, her best play on the following turn is actually to Phases Manipulator the Galvanizer, but it's not going to work out very cleanly, so I think she might have to give up on that and go for the egg here.
Yeah.
If she picks up another Glowtron, though, that is quite possibly just the best draw on her deck.
Countess Ashmore, though.
Yeah, Countess Ashmore, when both the Mechanoeggs have been drawn, I don't think there's any other Death Rattle minions.
There is...
there's a Snip Snap.
Oh, Snip Snap, yep.
Harrison Jones on curve. wtybill just playing pure Hearthstone at its core, playing minions to make sure you get board control and fighting with all the trades. So, missile launcher here, pretty straightforward. Able to utilize its 1 damage at the end of turn to clean up the Sephorium Bomber. And this is where Faceless Manipulator gets really scary, is when you can magnetize and then play Faceless. I lost this deck one time on ladder, or lost to that combo in particular, and the Paladin was at 3 life. And I just couldn't get past anymore because it just had way too many taunts.
Yeah.
Like a Bronze Gatekeeper or Faceless Manipulator on the egg, and it's like, oh, I just lose. And I felt like it was very hard to chew through all of the stats, because the thing is I was improving my opponent's power on board too.
And also improving their Kangors in this army as well.
The also real nice added benefit is that since your deck are mainly mechs, it makes it difficult for wtybill to utilize things like Dynamatic even if he had it.
Yeah.
There's a turn your... What was that, DJ?
This is probably one of the best matchups for Mech Paladin.
Yeah, in terms of its popularity of ladder, like I'm sure there's probably better matchups like any priest deck ever, but in terms of what's popular on ladder, I think that it's its best matchup.
Have you seen the rise of Mech Priest yet?
I have. I've played a handful of it, and it feels like it's good only because of its surprise factor. When I play tested against other people and they know what I'm trying to play, and more importantly, they know like how many silences I have and what kind of removal I do or don't have. It just feels like I think in Specialist, it would get absolutely manhandled.
Yeah, it runs out of gas very quickly. The extra arms, more arms is kind of cool, just because you can get a lot of early tempo with Galvanizer, Mekaru, with extra arms, more arms, that kind of thing, but you just run out of stuff. But maybe that would have a better game plan against Mech Paladin? I don't know. There's got to be a priest deck out there that beats it, just like there's got to be a warrior deck out there that beats it. I saw even wtybill and a lot of players have the EMP operative.
Yeah, I know, and it's going to be very effective, I think, against CaraCute.
Yeah. Now it's not in the primary deck. That's something to expect if we go to when we go to games 2 or 3 for that to come out. Very interesting tech conclusion. One of the things that Specialist offers us is seeing cards that really never see play.
Mm-hmm. Precisely. So Bill has Dr. Boom Mad Genius. That's one of his only plays here. Mega Devastator is just a vanilla 4/5, and I think Brawl is best served after. He's looking for like microbots or things to make Brawl a lot worse.
Yeah.
Here's another thing about Snip Snap, by the way, now that we're on that topic. Microbots do complicate Kangor's Endless Army. So I've seen a lot of people, when they play Snip Snap, obviously they try to use it to pressure for tempo, but sometimes they don't play it until a late stage game after Kangor's has been set up. Even though all the magnetic ability is great, if they find a way to clear it and then microbots die, you mess up your own game plan with that victory card.
Yeah, I feel like it's one of the reasons why the Mekaru is not played very often in modern Mech Paladins. I say modern, but it's only been around for a week. Modern is like the last 3 days of Mech Paladin, just because it makes Kangor's Endless Army early. And oftentimes you don't need the 1/1 in the early game. You want to play Crystology on turn 1. That's what you want to do.
Yep. I like this. I like pushing as much damage onto the warrior as possible. wtybill has a very weak Brawl in this position because if the 10 attack minion survives, he might increase the power on board.
Yeah.
If he plays Geppetto Joypuds and his opponent has a couple of magnetized minions, he also dies.
I feel like you might just have to play Geppetto here and hope that you get some type of high value minion, but even it's one turn away from a Mega Devastator, so even if wtybill picks up the second one, it's still not enough to fight back for the board. I can't think of another single minion that would like swing things that large, so has to go for the Brawl, and this is...
He's hoping the Mechano Egg survives. Oh no, it's the worst possible scenario for him, so he just has to hero power. He might even have to invest his Shield Slam ahead of time.
He's put more power on board with the Brawl, which is pretty insane.
Yeah, that was disastrous. But I mean, obviously, one of those 3 scenarios, the egg survives. How much damage does the CaraCute have? She has 18 plus 5 is 23. Not enough, but 23, 25, 26 damage. I see this most. She could also just use Faceless Manipulator here. A Brawl's been used. It's only a 1-of. If I'm CaraCute, I'm going in. I think I want to just magnetize maybe a Snip Snap and then Faceless Manipulator the 10-8 and then just go absolutely all in here. I do not want to give wtybill any chance to have 10 mana. There's not many ways that Bill can punish, can he?
No, there's almost no ways. Using 1 copy of Brawl, Dynamatics are useless. Like you mentioned, Mega Devastator is not active. Warpath doesn't even begin to touch these minions.
Yeah.
Blastmaster Boom, there is Dr. Boom active, but there's only 1 bomb in the deck, I believe, so no chance for Boombots to kind of clean up. Archivist Luciana, you can play on 9 mana to just see what you would have had if this game went to Fatigue. wtybill's dead.
Yeah, I mean, this is perfectly fine too. CaraCute's playing around a second Brawl. This, like, her not even hero powering kind of indicates that, but there's only 1 Brawl in the deck.
Yeah, there's only 1 Brawl.
So this is her being extra cautious if she was playing on ladder, you know. But I think when the deck lists are open like this, just a small little thing that doesn't really matter too much for this game, but could have implications in the future game. And that's it. Second shield block shouldn't really do anything here. And CaraCute's going to take game 1 very handily. Mech Paladin showing off its strength. And perhaps that the Warriors getting a little too comfortable trying to just kill off all the rogues.
Yeah, players, you know, a lot of players were talking over the past couple of days, what do I bring? What do I bring? Such an open field, the first Masters Tour event. The only real specialist sample size we have are for Master Tour qualifiers, which you can draw some conclusions from, but not entirely, especially considering that on the Rise of the Mechs patch, we haven't seen many. So a lot of players are like, I'll bring the safe pick. I'll bring Warrior. CaraCute said, well, I'll bring Mech Paladin.
Yeah, capitalize on that.
Yeah.
The only thing is that there are a decent amount of mages into the field, which is why I'd probably be really scared to bring Paladin. But if she has good secondary and tertiary decks, I wouldn't be nearly as afraid, given that she has the ability to maybe utilize some board clear. That's why Hunter might be an overall like better pick, because you still have that edge against Warrior, but you still can have a lot of game against Mage.
Yeah. But as we get into game number 2, we do want to highlight wtybill's secondary deck. We did get word that he will be moving to a secondary deck. And this is the crazy one we talked about, Dan. Triple silence. He's got 3 silences with double Iron Beak Out and a Spellbreaker, as well as 2 EMP operatives.
It's almost like he knew that he'd be going up against a Mech Paladin before the tournament even started. He was ready for all of the mechs and magnetic abilities, coming at him. His tertiary deck, of course, is good against the mages. So Bill utilizing his sideboard very effectively, and more importantly, taking out other cards that are going to be useless, like the Arceus Lysiana and Youthful Brewmaster.
Yeah, it's kind of interesting. It's like his primary deck is the catch-all deck, where it's like he has so many one-ups because he wants to be able to beat everything. And then his secondary and tertiary decks are like the most targeted things you could possibly imagine, with Paladin and Mage. But taking a look at CaraCute, we did get word that she's switching to her secondary deck, so takes out Lightforge Blessing, Consecration, the missile launchers to make way for Prismatic Lens, another Faceless Manipulator, and both of the Mechanical Whelps.
Yes, Mechanical Whelps and the Faceless Manipulator make a lot of sense here. Second Prismatic Lens, I'm still always on the fence because I feel like it's very clunky sometimes if you end up getting some awkward scenarios where you really need to have your cheap stuff to be cheap and not expensive. But you know, Missile Launcher makes sense. There's like not a lot of aggression that you want to pick off with Missile Launcher compared to say like a Hunter deck. And then Consecration, obviously you're not facing up against any Murloc Shamans or Zoo Warlocks. Lightforge Blessing is something that I'm still figuring out, because I think that card is sometimes very valuable against the Warrior, because you have such strong inevitability against them that the only way that it feels like they can rush you, the only way they can win is to rush you down. So I'm a little bit on the fence about that, but I think obviously she's not only preparing it against Warrior, she's preparing it against like other classes that she doesn't need it against, like Mage, for example. You might not need it as much. Yeah. But it's hard to say. It's hard to say because I think she has another deck list prepared for Mage with the Big Game Hunter list.
Yeah, it's got double Big Game Hunter. But not going to see that. Both players' secondary decks here. And wtybill, this is interesting. I wonder if an attrition game plan is on the table for him with double silence, or with triple silence and double EMP operative. Because one of the things about Mech Paladin is beyond Kangor's Endless Army, they really don't have anything that can get them past like the late game.
Well, here's another thing, TJ. If you silence the magnetic abilities and they die, it doesn't count.
For Kangor's Endless Army.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. You can still get things, but not very big things.
So CaraCute will have to fight a lot more honestly, and that, TJ, that is why Glowstone Technician is the nuts. You have to go for Glowstone Technician because everything you kind of want to silence. But then after they silence just a minion, like let's say you magnetize twice. Like you magnetize Galvanizer and Bronze Gatekeeper. Yeah. That becomes what? A 6/11? It's like, okay, I have to like do something with this. And then you magnetize like other big stuff and it goes off. Glowstone Technician is super powerful.
The most honest minion in Hearthstone right now.
Yes.
Changed my mind. These are kind of the cards you want. All good silence targets. All that put out big mechs that you can't EMP operative right away. But wtybill does have double Iron Peak Out in hand already. Has one of the EMP operatives in hand.
Yeah, the secondary deck absolutely coming into It's a huge play here. Might even just make wtybill favored straight up.
Yeah.
Like, what is a mech deck without magnetic? It's just a mid-range curve deck.
Some mechs have gotten some buffs, but I don't think any of them are in this deck. Yeah, none of the mechs in this deck. I guess you can include Crystology. That went from 2 mana to 1 mana, but other than that.
Well, this was like a snip stack magnetic turn here from CaraCute. That does bait out Silence. That's actually good news for her because there's so many other things that I think she'd rather get Silence. Plus, you don't have to worry about the microbots.
I don't know if you pull the trigger on the Silencing yet because the one interaction you mentioned earlier where the microbots from the Snip Snap coming out interrupts Kangor's Endless Army. I think you're okay with that. I think you're going to wait until you see more magnetics onto this.
Right. You have opportunity to collect more value at the expense of health.
And it's just 3 right now. It's not that big of a deal.
It's not a huge difference maker right now.
Yeah, and I'm sure if wtybill submitted this secondary list with Mech Paladin in mind, that he has at least some practice against the list, which means that he kind of knows what are the prime targets for Silence. And what timing to use them, because you can silence a mech and then your opponent just magnetizes onto it again, and then what, do you have to silence it again?
It does sound pretty impossible to pull off.
Yeah. So it's not as simple as just, I'm going to silence it, call it a day. Mechano Egg, I feel like, would have a pretty high value silence just because the Death Rattle, even if you magnetize on top of that, as long as the Death Rattle's gone, then you can safe follow up with an EMP operative.
Yeah, that's why I like this Militia Commander. Save the Iron Beguile for afterwards. CaraCute setting up a Mechanical Whelp. One card that I'm still actually very unsure about, almost not liking, is Called to Adventure. I think it's very expensive. And
it is.
I do understand that having the cheap minion be buffed, especially if it's a skater bot, is very powerful. It's just that I feel like there's just better alternatives to it, in my opinion. However, whenever I look at the deck list, I'm not exactly sure what to replace it with. It just feels so clunky. And with mech decks, I want to go Marie Kondo style, TJ. If I look at a card, if it doesn't bring me happiness, I want it out.
What about I'm drawing a blank here, the 4-mana 4/1 that summons 3 microbots.
Oh, yes. The magnetic ability, right?
Yeah. That one's a little bit, again, the Kangor's Endless Army synergy is off with that card.
Well, I mean, I think you could just maybe play other utility cards like a Choose Over Champion.
Choose Over Champion,
yeah. Or if you want something a little bit more lower curve, you can just play random tech cards that can help you in different scenarios, or even just card draw, you know?
Yeah. A Loot Hoarder.
Yeah, I think one card that's also slightly under the radar still is Coppertail Imposter.
Yeah, that's true.
In fact, if CaraCute teched one Coppertail Imposter into her deck, instead of, say, a second Faces Manipulator, or actually even keep the second Faces Manipulator and, she had a 5th card slot she could have put in, maybe cut a Call to Adventure. You set up the Coppertail Imposter, and you just keep magnetizing it where it can't interact with it.
Yeah. They have to go for a 50-50 Brawl or something.
Right. In which case, it dies, and then you revive it with Kangor's Endless Army.
Yeah.
And then you can Faceless it. In fact, the more I think about it, TJ, the more I think Coppertail Imposter goes in this deck.
Did you just think of that right now?
Yes, I did.
Wow. In the tank. Does that bring you happiness?
It does.
Okay.
But not for CaraCute, because I'm like, well, I should have gone back in time and told her. Because I want Mech Paladin to do well. That's 1 out of 3 silences here, and if wtybill doesn't have good alternatives, that's kind of the problem with playing too many tech cards, that you don't have generally good proactive plays to not do something. But then you don't want to give up too much tempo by skipping turn 5. Kind of awkward here for Bill.
Yeah. But it also makes it awkward for CaraCute because now she knows that wtybill is playing a secondary deck. So she has to find ways to navigate around EMP Operative and multiple silences, which is very difficult.
Yeah, the good news is that the egg dying still can be brought back with the Kangor. And you're still okay with the egg being brought back because it still summons the 8/8 Robosaur. But, obviously not being able to have its benefit does stink. This is fairly clever by CaraCute, utilizing the Skaterbot and the Rush to summon the 8/8 Robostar.
Yeah, and pushing 3. Wow, every tech card drawn.
Wow, all 5.
All
the
5.
3 silences and the 2 Imp operatives.
And that's kind of what you want, because outside of Call to Adventure and Crystology and Countess Ashmore, the deck from CaraCute doesn't have great ways to like refill the hand with additional resources, and Crystology is very meh when it comes to doing that in the later stages of the game. Outside of like, I need Skaterbot right now to kill this minion.
Finally, the prophecy has been fulfilled. You know, it's cool because EMP Operative was released with the Boomsday Project, and I was like, oh, that makes sense. In case mechs ever get out of control, you're able to utilize it. It never saw play until a year later, TJ.
And still, even after mechs were very popular,
with Mech Hunter and
with
stuff.
Mech Hunter and with just Bomb Warrior,
Yeah.
it still didn't see play.
Because it wasn't really the mechs that were the problem with Warrior. It was their removal plus their inevitability.
Yeah, their mechs are not necessarily that large. When you get an EMP operative, a Dynamatic after it's already gotten its value for killing off your 5 health minion, forget about it.
Forget about it. I think this is an opportunity to see if CaraCute identifies herself as a position to start pressing, or if she's going to start playing a little bit more conservative. She doesn't have that many cards left, so if Warrior can find a way to... If Warrior can find a way to clean up here, CaraCute's going to be stranded in resources. That being said, I actually really like this Magnetic, because if wtybill silences it, it's still the same kind of premise, right? The egg still dies as its base. And she's not putting everything on the mechanical whelp, so that if a silence lands on this mechanical whelp, she loses everything. She loses the Robosaur plus the buffs. Glowstone Technician.
Yeah, that is a 5/7 Glowtron.
That's a big buff. That's bigger than War Gear.
Yeah, for 1 mana.
Yes. Granted that she couldn't play it on a couple more minions. Generally, if you play it on 2 minions for Ghost Technician, that's about what you want it on average. If you can get more than 2, you're really happy. And if you get more than like 4 or 5, if you get like on a full hand of like 7, 8 cards, you are just over the moon.
Yeah. I think in one of our Grandmasters broadcasts, I tried to compare it in some ways to Fungalmancer. You know, obviously different because Fungalmancer requires a board and Glowstone Technician doesn't. And it's like an immediate buff instead of one that you bank in your hand. But like if you get it on 2 or 3 minions, that's like +6/+6 for a 5-mana minion.
This update.
Very high value.
Second Silence comes out, second EMP Operative. CaraCute, if she can fade 1 more Silence, then she doesn't have to worry about too much more outside that 1 copy of Brawl. But that second Glowtron draw is not what you want.
No. At this point, she would kind of love to see Kangors in this army, because there's been a lot of high-value mechs that have died. We have the Mechano Egg that's Bronze Gatekeeper and Annoya Module buffed that would come back with not being silenced, of course, with its Death Rattle still intact. There was the Mechanical Whelp that died. That was buffed with the Skater Bot, so it had Rush. So there's been a decent amount of high-value mechs that have died.
Yeah, and without these cards from wtybill, I think the game would already be almost over. But instead,
it would be.
It seems like he has not only a fighting chance, but a likely chance to win. Now that this Mechanical Whelp has been silenced, I guess CaraCute might as well just go more in. I think this Glowtron should go on the 4/4 Whelp, because you don't want him to be able to silence both targets if you buff it. Plays around Brawl, very nice. Clockwork Goblin. So if you're wtybill, you want to kill the 8/8 Robosaur and silence the other one. She's out of cards, so it just comes down to her drawing the absolute best card in Kangors in this army.
Yeah.
Bill. Looks like he's faded everything. And he's going to be crushing CaraCute for the rest of this game unless she's able to draw something big. Countess Ashmore, Kangosanga's army.
Prismatic Lens. There's 2 copies of Prismatic Lens in the deck.
Okay.
Call to Adventure.
I mean, it draws the lowest cost minion in the deck, and that's
Yeah.
1 mana minion.
Skaterbot might be okay to help fight back on board, but at this point, CaraCute might just have to suit up this mechanical whelp and start trucking along.
Yeah, and it's a little bit of like a ramification of her like not having that extra Silverhand recruit, right? She's trying to play around Brawl, but she doesn't have like that 1 extra 1/1 to like protect her minion a little bit more.
Yeah.
So if all these like small little things that aren't deciding the game whatsoever, it's just the way CaraCute's playing is making it very difficult for her to find a way out outside of a draw off the top of the deck.
Yeah. And with both Skaterbots gone, no silence in the deck for CaraCute, wtybill is just able to ship this Clockwork Goblin Ziliax damage to the face. Countess Ashmore, though.
Yeah, so
picks
pulls
up
out Ziliax.
Ziliax
and
an oil
the egg.
module? No, okay.
Yeah, it pulls a Lifesteal, a Rush, and a Death Rattle minion. So Lifesteal Rush is always handled by Ziliax, and then the Death Rattles are Mechano Eggs and Whelps.
Is it always a minion, too?
Yes, it's always a minion. Countess Ashmore was often compared to the Curator from Karazhan, which pulled a Dragon Beast and Murloc from your deck. And when Countess Ashmore was like, oh, this is just like better stats, people thought that it would be a really good card. And to be fair, Countess Ashmore is a very effective card. It's just that there hasn't been a deck that utilizes all 3 of those specific mechanics.
There was a card, I can't remember, it was sometimes played in like Mechanothune Warlock. It tutored a Lifesteal card, but it could pull spells as well. Because it could pull the Spellstone. I thought it was Countess Ashmore, but maybe I'm incorrect, I don't know. Oh, it is Countess Ashmore draw a Rush, Lifesteal, and Death Rattle card from your deck.
Oh, you're right.
Because Countess Ashmore used to be able to pull the Spellstone.
Oh,
I don't know if Lightforged
okay.
Blessing counts as Lifesteal. I don't think it is because the card isn't Lifesteal. It's giving the Lifesteal buff. But for a second, I thought like, oh, Lightforged Blessing might be pulled by Countess Ashmore, but I don't think it works that way.
I stand corrected. I'm an idiot. CaraCute, by the way, she might be in trouble of dying here, but she has Mechano Egg and Ziliax. Did she use both Skaterbots? I believe she has.
Both Skaterbots, that's correct.
Oh, that actually really hurts. Because the Skaterbot will allow her to Mechano Egg, do some fun stuff, and then utilize the 8/8 Robosaur afterwards. Crystology picks up Bronze Gatekeeper and the second Galvanizer.
Oh, yeah, Galvanizer as well, you're right.
Which is reasonable. But you can't magnetize all of those. So 2 plus 4 plus 2 is 8. She has 9 mana. She can do everything outside of Ziliax. Oh, fascinating. She's choosing to magnetize that onto the Galvanizer. Huh.
This is basically just protect the life total, I guess, and hope to stabilize with the Robosaur next turn. But this also kind of makes the Kangaroos in this army if she draws it worse.
Right. I'm actually very curious why she tacked it onto the Galvanize. I guess because, she wanted to make the Kangaroos potentially better because if the 1/2 died, it's
if the 1/2 dies too, but at this point, I don't think you can make it better on average. You have to go for the highest of rolls.
Yeah.
Because you're that far behind.
I agree. I kind of like the taunt onto the egg, and even just like reading CaraCute's expression, it looks like she wasn't exactly sure.
Yeah.
She doesn't have that many good draws from this point on. Prismatic Lens.
Is that guaranteed for Kangaroos in this army?
Could get another Crystology.
Or no, I think she's played both, but it could get Prismatic Lens. Oh yeah, no, you're right. Crystology's last game.
Oh my goodness, this actually is a really big opportunity for CaraCute. Because now they both have Rush and Divine Shield.
Yeah, you're right.
And Lifesteal. What on earth?
Because that kills the Clockwork Goblin and presents both Mechano Eggs.
What?
That's insane.
All right, Two-Face Manipulator is just so sick in this deck. You do some wacky stuff. Now, Bill still has a pretty decent amount of options in his hand. Torpedo Joy Buzz, Blastmaster Boom with bombs. But CaraCute is no longer under threat of just dying to pressure from the warrior.
Yeah.
However, I think wtybill should know what's in CaraCute's hand. The thing about Prismatic Lens is that you get information on their mana, so when you play a 1-mana Face Manipulator, it's like, well, what's a 1-mana spell? It has to be Crystology.
And the Crystology not only is a 5-mana, but it's also dead, right? There's no 1-attack minions left in the deck.
I think there might be one more.
Played both Galvanizers, played both Skaterbots, played both Glotrons.
One Bronze Gatekeeper.
I think one Bronze Gatekeeper was put early on.
Okay.
On the Mechano Egg that was silenced.
You are right.
That got EMP operative because it was Bronze Gatekeeper into an oil module.
Yes.
But this is a full Blastmaster boom. A potential very low chance for a full board clear here.
Yeah, I think Bill's going to probably want to use his hero power too, just to try and snipe these in the most efficient way possible.
May just keep these like this and not attack the bombs because he knows that they're protected.
Right.
And maybe even hope that CaraCute trades and goes for a Brawl next turn or something of the like. Brawl probably saved for Kangors in this army, I'd imagine, but we'll see.
Yeah.
There's a good potential that wtybill just puts more power on board, which is something that he's not that happy to do. So.
Yeah, War Gear adds 5/5 onto a minion, but if you trade it into the Blastmaster Boom, I don't really think it does much here. CaraCute doesn't draw anything, just like what TJ was predicting, so she missed the hero power, and that was like a whoops. And we've all been there.
Or it's a play around Brawl, who knows?
But more importantly, this kind of just to show you, I mean, it's not really playing around Brawl at that point.
Yeah.
And in fact, yeah, like missing that hero power means that she might take an extra
extra bomb damage.
An extra bomb damage of like
or it may hit an 8/8 instead of the 1/1, which is
Right.
something that you definitely don't want.
Yeah, that's something where like if you're not used to deck tracking or not, if you're not used to hand tracking and you're used to deck tracker,
Yeah.
this is like a actual mechanical error.
Yeah.
Because it's not like if CaraCute knew she had no minions in her deck, obviously she would have never played Crystology.
Yeah.
But that's why you hear players like Firebat and Amnesiac, they don't really play with deck tracker that often, even when they can at the safety of their own home, because
Yep.
they need to stay fresh and on top.
Yeah.
Because in live event tournaments, deck tracker is not allowed.
Even in Grandmaster, deck tracker is allowed because players are playing from home.
Right.
But I'm wondering about the Grandmasters players themselves, if they've gotten used to
Yeah, sloppy.
their cushy life of being able to play with deck tracker from home.
I know a few players are a lot more dependent on it than others.
Yeah.
Largely because some players are just so good at memorization and tracking. Oh, Prismatic
So
Lens.
this pulls Kangors in this army.
Nope, there's bombs in the deck.
Oh, there's
TJ.
bombs in the deck.
Yep, and then she draws a card for its normal cost, except it's another bomb!
I mean, she could just die here.
Is that another bomb?
War Gear. If there weren't bombs, it would have guaranteed Kangors in this army.
No, I think this is almost guaranteed death now because she's staring at 10 damage on the next turn.
Ooh, a rainbow.
And with more bombs being shuffled in.
Yeah.
Geppetto.
I mean, you might as well.
I think if I'm wtybill here, I also maybe, I don't know if you need to clear the 3/4.
What? Drew Augmented Ella Clockwork Goblin can play both of those and swing.
Yeah.
Shuffle 4 bombs in this
That's
turn.
just really likely for lethal. I like Bill's mentality here. He's a streamer. He gets it.
Yeah.
He knows what to do.
Yeah.
4 bombs.
That's like the ideal 2 minions from the Geppetto Joy Buzz.
Yeah. There's a very strong likelihood CaraCute's dead for game number 2.
This is 7 bombs in the deck, I think, out of 9 cards. That's pretty insane.
All right. Nicely done. The triple silence EMP operatives from wtybill gives him a significant margin amount of percentage back in this matchup, and now has tied it up 1 game apiece. CaraCute needs to go back to the drawing board here, but I don't know what more she could really do given her deck lists. I think I think she needed to maybe have extra punch in case her opponent does have silence.
Yeah.
And I think it comes in the form of either the Coppertail Imposter or to have a much more anti-silence. Like, if you have minions that are resistant to silence, but just like big, fat, beefy minions, then you don't have to worry about it too much. Like for example, if you have Tyrion, we've seen Tyrion and Mech Paladin. If they use all their silence on mechs, you just play Tyrion. What does Warrior do?
Yeah. Now there is like weapon removal in the deck, but even just like the 6/6 body can sometimes be enough to get you there. And then they have to spend 5 mana on Harrison Jones, so sometimes that's enough. I feel like what CaraCute has to do is just draw Kangors earlier. There was a point in that game after wtybill had used a lot of his tech cards that there was this lull in the action. If she was able to pick up Kangors right there and play it like on 7 or 8 with the high value mechs that had died so far that game, maybe she gets there.
Yeah. I mean, look, think about it this way. Bill is mulliganing for like 6 cards pretty aggressively. He's mulliganing for 1-drops, and he's mulliganing for 5 cards with the silence and the 2 Emperor operatives.
Yeah.
CaraCute may have to reevaluate her entire mulligan strategy too. Right now, she's been kind of going for the Galvanizer curve, which works against most decks. Perhaps maybe instead she keeps things like Countess Ashmore and Prismatic Lens, maybe even Call to Adventure, and tries to fish really hard for Glowstone Technician. If I'm her and I have a hand of like Glowtron, Galvanizer, Bronze Gatekeeper, Anoia Module, I think I throw away everything. Maybe keep Galvanizer. Maybe keep Galvanizer, throw away everything besides that, because I would go really hard for a Glowstone Technician and try to set up unstoppable tempo turns that they can't keep up with, because they only can like Spellbreaker one thing, and then I have like 3 things that got buffed across the board.
Okay.
That'd probably be like the strategy, because I think playing a normal curve strategy is exactly what Warrior wants you to do.
Yeah.
Because you are stuck in this position where you need to stack onto 1 minion over and over, and that just exactly gets eliminated by either the operative or the silence.
Yeah. I also wonder if the Prismatic Lens is even worth it in the deck. I know this is kind of like a
Oh, yes, TJ. That's what I'm talking about. I mean, she threw away Prismatic Lens, which I think is borderline.
Well, the Prismatic Lens, we saw it kind of works against you sometimes. If wtybill's shuffling bombs in the deck, Prismatic Lens has a chance to also still be draw 2, but not draw 2 with the effect that you'd want it to be.
That's why I want it earlier than later.
True, yeah, that's true.
So I think Prismatic Lens is worth thinking about, especially because the matchup is like that slow. But like a lot of people will look at this hand and just think, oh, wow, I don't do anything for 5 turns. And to which I say,
that's
unless,
fine.
but maybe, okay, so hold on though. Part of that reason is because I feel more comfortable when I'm playing like a list that has like True Silver Champion and other cards that can like keep me alive until that point. CaraCute might feel uncomfortable because if wtybill went for the curve, which he didn't. He didn't keep his Clockwork Goblin or anything. TJ, he went for silences. TJ, we might finally see the Glowstone Technician prophecy come to fruition. Today is Friday, June 14th. It is 2:15 p.m. Pacific. I think CaraCute should not play a card until Glowstone Technician.
Mom, get the camera.
I'm hero powering for 3 turns. Yes.
Okay, 1 down.
Now, of course, the bad thing is the Acolyte Pain. I think that's where it really hurts because then you give it. But I think you accept that risk.
Yeah.
You accept that risk because if you don't hero power, you risk falling way too far behind on board. But then the nice thing, too, is that when they coin Acolyte, that means that they're going very slow, too. They're not going coin Augmented Elic into the Clockwork Goblin, into the Reg Caliber. That's when you start sweating. And then for CaraCute, here's a question. Does she even hero power on 3, TJ?
This Glowstone Technician is getting juicy.
It's going to be so lit, TJ. It's going to be so good. I am so hyped for this.
All right, so if she hero powers, or if she passes this turn, then passes next turn and plays Glowstone Technician, it would be on 8 cards. Theoretically, if she draws 2 minions.
I know. Look, yeah, you're right. You're right. It could be on 8
cards.
minions. That'd be 16 stats. There's not enough silence in the world available to you as a warrior to deal with that. Okay, CaraCute goes for the hero power. She knows that going for the Skaterbot Glowtron is like part of the reason why it's important to keep it is because those cards become her efficient way to make up all of the tempo that she loses otherwise. Having Mechanical Whelp be a 4/4 is not a big deal. Even having War Gear as a 7/7 is pretty sizable, but the important thing is that she can use like Skaterbot Faces Manipulator, and then all of a sudden everything becomes like a humongous threat. I say you pass again.
Can you play?
I say you pass
Dan,
again.
Compromise with me. One mech.
Why? Why do you need it, though? What is this? I guess it stops the second draw from Acolyte. Okay. If that's the case, then I agree with it. If he does, you should trade in this 1/1 preemptively into perhaps the Clockwork Goblin so that Militia Commander doesn't punish you.
Yeah.
Militia Commander would be the ultimate punish. It's a one of. Oh, man. She is playing with fire. Because if the Militia Mechanic came down, the 3/3 bumps in, the 5/5 goes into 2/4, and then you draw a card, and then you're just really sad.
I wonder here, Dan. Tempo Spellbreaker.
Why?
You've seen a slow hand. You also have Barista Lynching in hand.
Oh!
So you can get value out of the Spellbreaker, push tempo, and then
draw a
get
card.
it back.
Yeah, draw a card.
You draw an extra card. I'm just saying, Dan, nothing else really makes sense here. wtybill's looking at this board, he's like, she's doing nothing.
Yes.
She Crystology, didn't play her one drop.
Right.
There's probably Glowstone Technician. I need board presence. I still have 2 sounds in the deck. I could Bristol Lynch in the back.
Yes,
Tempo Spellbreaker.
TJ, I love the play that you suggested, and I think it makes so much sense. This is really smart from wtybill. He's capitalizing on the fact that CaraCute wanted to either set up a Magnetize or a Glowstone Technician. But TJ, it's beautiful. 6 minions. You can't ask for much better than that.
Get this Call to Adventure out of here.
Yeah, I'm telling you, right? I'm telling you. I think Call to Adventure is a solid card. I think it's, you know, maybe the 32nd or 33rd best card you can consider for your deck.
Okay.
Because Firebat was telling me that he thinks Glowstone Technician is one of the worst cards in the deck in terms of like being candidate to be cut from it. Not that it's bad, but I think that Call to Adventure is also a candidate for that too. So then Bill doesn't actually have to trade into here, but if he's afraid of the Skater Bot tempo swings, then no, he's still fine either way. He doesn't have to make this trade, but it's all about if he wants to preserve his life total, I guess, too, right?
With that many minions that got buffed by Glowstone Technician, I feel like life total is going to matter for wtybill in this game. But on the other side of that, with no Lifeforge Blessing in the deck, maybe he thinks life total matters for CaraCute more.
Ooh.
Maybe he wants her to play more defensively.
Yeah, I think it's just that CaraCute is likely to make the trade for him because he's ahead on board. I think that's a good attack. I like the way Bill's playing this game, and like I gotta admit, it's very difficult to do it when your opponent's just holding a bunch of cards and you're like afraid of the impending doom. One thing to note is that CaraCute, we said that she buffs 6 minions, but she actually buffed 5 because Faceless Manipulator just copies the stats of whatever its battle cry comes out as. So that's a little bit of an annoyance there. I think that she could still take her time and set up this mechanical well because time is on her side, and it shows that Bill's like taking it very slow. Although I guess Bill does have a silence in the deck, in the hand though, so maybe that scares her off a little bit from using it.
Because if she played just mechanical well, but gets silenced, Barista Lynch trades over, you got a 4-5 or a 4-3 and another 4-3 on board that you got to worry about still.
Skaterbot trade. Dude, wtybill with that push of damage, I think scared CaraCute a little bit.
Maybe. Definitely a possibility.
Scared cute.
Scared.
I don't blame her. Bomb Warrior is very fearsome sometimes, you know, with the amount of damage you can push out. But this kind of like Skaterbot usage, I feel like I hope it ends up becoming something that ends up giving her, like right now by doing this, she wins the tempo on the board. She can just set up stuff. But I hope she won't need that later on and then kind of regret using it early.
Yeah. And also one thing to keep in mind is while I believe Kingar's in this army does keep magnetic buff, it does not keep Glowstone Technician buffs.
It does not.
So let's say that minion right there, which was a Skater Bot attached to a War Gear, even though that was a 10-10 with Rush, it'll come back as a 6-6 with Rush.
Yeah, 6-6, you're right.
With Kingar's in this army. So still threatening, but you don't get to double dip with Glowstone Technician.
I think if she wants to go with the same kind of ideology as before, she can go for a Galvanize or Magnetize. I think setting up like an egg of some kind, mechanical whelp or mechanic egg, is good because it kind of forces them into a weird position of like, if they don't develop anything, then you just pressure them. Like, let's say you play this 4/4 whelp and they don't silence it, and you just keep hitting them and developing slowly onto the board. If they do silence it, then you start stacking magnetic abilities on top of it, because then it just comes back and it dies.
Yeah. So I do like the magnetize onto the galvanizer.
Right. She wants to make her Kangaroo's Endless Army as best as possible.
But it's a pretty light turn, and this gives wtybill room to kind of play with here with one of his Dr. Booms.
Double silence, though.
Yeah.
So even if she did go for the mechanical whelp, like I said, she would have gotten the ultimate punish, I think.
It still feels like it's an uphill battle for CaraCute.
I know, despite going for that insane tempo swing, right?
And it wasn't the highest value Glowstone Technician. While she did have Crystology into hold, into Glowstone Technician with Call to Venture in hand, Phases Manipulator. It didn't hit Mechano Egg, which is like one of the best, because you can't just ignore it.
Right.
But that slow turn did give wtybill the option to play Blastmaster Boom.
She needs to hold out for another turn. She wants to get the War Gear Faceless Manipulator combo off.
Yeah.
In this position, I think Call to Adventure is perfectly fine with the 4/4 mechanical whelp.
Yeah, the Skater bot with the Faces Manipulator even.
Oh, yeah, the Skater bot Faceless Manipulator was just like, that's kind of the biggest thing that sticks out to me. By utilizing that, like, she totally won the board very temporarily, but having Skater bot Faceless Manipulator is just so disgusting.
Yeah.
It's so sick.
Yeah.
Because everything just you destroy everything on the board, and there's so much stats, and they have to deal with everything.
Yeah.
Now, granted, again, wtybill eventually drew the double silence, the Spellbreaker.
Drew double silence, and one thing to note is one of the only cards that wtybill has 2 of is Omega Devastator, which means that wtybill needs to buy a couple more turns and just kind of keep the board under control, and then Omega Devastators come online, and not only EMP operatives and silence, but also Omega Devastators are there to kind of fight back.
She got the 3/3 Skater bot again.
Okay, this is the last Skater bot though.
Yeah. So this is where Bill has to figure out how he wants to budget his resources. He can use 1 silence here, but the second silence kind of needs to stay back just in case.
What now?
Yeah. Yeah, but then what's the play?
I want to silence the whelp for sure, but I don't know what to do with the rest of the 5 mana. It looks like Bill's just going to prioritize the Ziliax here.
Ziliax push?
Well, the 7's going face for sure.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Wow.
Trade here.
Okay.
I
Minimize
was
the
like,
board
putting
effect.
on a 16 seems really good.
This is smart though, because wtybill knows that he kind of has answers lined up for a lot of stuff.
Oh, yeah, and also because CaraCute hasn't played Ziliax.
Hasn't played Ziliax, and
so Ziliax Face Manipulator could be a real problem because CaraCute played Galvanizer.
Yeah.
So that far left card could be Ziliax, and Ziliax Face Manipulator would be like GG.
Yeah.
So that's actually a smart play again by Bill.
I never thought coming into Vegas that we'd see Warriors with secondary decks that were teched for Mech Paladin. I did not think I would see it. I thought the Paladins would just primary deck it all the way through to the top 8, beating Warriors along the way.
Faceless. Yeah, I agree, TJ. I didn't think it would be the case. Faceless actually works out potentially beautifully here because I think CaraCute wants one of her eggs to die if she's able to trade into the Blastmaster Boom. I don't think she wants it to survive as a 3/1.
Yeah, but this one has Rush as well, so it can trade over the...
Yes.
All right, hits the other bomb. Face.
Oh,
man. Wow. I mean, Spellbreaker plus EMP Operative cleans up this board. I don't know if wtybill wants to go that all in on resources. He can go with a similar play to what he did, or a similar thing to what he did last game, which was ignore both of these minions and then play Dr. Boom Mad Genius and kind of buy a turn. But it looks like he's going to go for the full board sweep here. And 2 out of the 3 silences used and 1 out of the 2 EMP operatives used.
Oh, Canis Ashmore will get that Ziliax.
Stronger yet.
Get that other Mechano Egg. She can utilize his Glowtron just to give the egg more fighting chance, and I think it's really good. And this is where the power of the Magnetize on top of the egg is good, because now when that egg dies again, it'll come back as the egg with the magnetic abilities.
Yep.
That's why it's important to get those eggs and the whelps out, even if you know they're going to get silenced. The idea is that you stack the magnetic afterwards.
I haven't even been keeping track of which mechs have died, but I'm pretty sure they've all been relatively large. I don't think there's been a single mech outside of the, what was it, Galvanizer something.
Yeah, like
Was it it was a Galvanizer plus War Gear?
they've all been reasonably sized for sure.
Yeah.
But the thing is, wtybill could like answer it with like Dr. Boom Mad Genius and like Omega Devastator, you know?
Yeah.
You need to have a lot more. You want it to come back with Death Rattles. You want it to come back with Divine Shields. In this spot, if I'm Bill, there's only one mech on the board. I might be tempted to play the Mad Genius here. You definitely need it to come back out because the Rush trivializes a lot of their magnetic ability. And so if Bill doesn't go for it, he might just play a removal turn, like his Omega Devastator, for example. And I think maybe because his opponent's low on resources, that's what he's going to go for here.
Yeah.
Probably sees light at the end of the tunnel. Just play Control Warrior. Forget trying to like do all this bomb shenanigans of winning tempo. Just slowly remove. Oh boy. Yes, TJ. Yes.
I think that War Gear in the far left is still buffed. I believe
Yes.
it's a 7/7.
It's a 7/7. It becomes a 9/9. That's when it gets
Wow.
serious.
I thought it was already serious, Dan.
Oh, it gets mega serious.
Omega serious.
Yeah. Well, I was just going based off the Hearthstone logic, right? Wind Fury times 2 is mega Wind Fury.
Yeah. That's the only one that's mega, though.
Which path to choose?
There's
Yeah, fair enough.
Tank Up was mega armor. But CaraCute's still wondering how to partition these resources. I think she may be worried about the last silence.
Act now.
But Mechano Egg just seems
It
just
is what
fine
it
enough
is.
here.
If he's got all the silences and all the EMP operatives, you lose anyways.
Yeah.
Plus, half his hand are Omega Assembly mechs. So you already know that, you know, less percentage chance that he has it.
Yeah.
Okay, now is it time to play the Dr. Boom Mad Genius?
I think it has to be because you got to find a way to get these mechs as removal, right?
Yeah, I think we're on the removal plan, and I think
Yeah.
Dr. Boom Mad Genius helps you with that. Although you do win back some tempo too, just by naturally having the mechs trade onto the board.
Yeah.
I think he's weighing all the other possibilities, but I'd be hard-pressed to find a better play right now unless he can figure it out. He can magnetize and start pushing.
Yeah,
Like,
but
that's one opportunity to just be aggressive.
you know Ziliax is in the hand, though. That's the
Yeah,
problem.
that's true.
You saw Countess Ashmore. Okay.
Wow. He's going in.
Is he going to play this non-magnetized? He is. So he's going wide on board to try and make it hard for CaraCute to stabilize, to kill off every minion.
Except that, oh, right, because CaraCute can still be afraid of one silence.
CaraCute can still be afraid of one silence, so if she throws the Ziliax on the board and tries to like push face to race, and a silence comes out, then wtybill has way better tools. This is interesting.
CaraCute has just ridiculous potential with Galvanizer, Wargear, Ziliax.
Yeah, Ziliax is a 5/4. This Wargear is a 9/9.
Yeah, it's 15-point health swing.
Yeah. But you load it all up onto one minion. wtybill has that second Iron Beak Owl in hand. Things start to get problematic.
Right, and this kind of going wide on the board almost smells like it, right? It almost feels
Yeah.
like Bill's like, yeah, do whatever you want to this magnetized ability.
Yeah.
I'm just going to silence it afterwards. It's got to make CaraCute think. I wonder if she's just going to like play Mechanical Whelp and pass.
That's risky in itself because last turn wtybill shuffled 3 bombs in the deck. There's 9 damage staring at you on board.
Okay, so she's going for the what's the best minion post silence.
Yeah.
And she skipped the Galvanizer entirely in order to have that possibility. And, you know, it's not like I say Bill bluffed, but it feels like an effective one.
Yeah.
And now, can he set up something else? A Brawl, perhaps? This is definitely not a minion that you want to let stay alive because of just the amount of pressure and damage that comes out.
Yeah, but if you Brawl, you then don't have Brawl for the Kangors in this army.
That's true.
This is tough. Dr. Boom Mad Genius, you have 9 damage on board, so you need to find 4 more somehow. So Zap wouldn't do it. Microbots wouldn't do it.
But you couldn't invest into a Warpath, perhaps.
What now?
Yeah, but
Oh, no, but the Robosaur, yeah.
the Robosaur and also the Microbots from this Replicating Menace don't have Rush because he doesn't have Dr. Boom up. So your Warpath would just be getting rid of that. I mean, I think he might want to try and dig for a silence or buy 1 more turn with Dr. Boom Mad Genius.
Okay, the Zap helps.
Zap does help. CaraCute's at 30, so there's no point in holding back attacks. He was thinking about whether or not he wanted to shield block there to try and dig a little deeper. This is still very close, and a Kangor's Endless Army could definitely change things.
Crystology has a couple of draws here still.
Glowtron and a Bronze Gatekeeper.
Yeah, and I think with no silence being used, I think CaraCute's going to maybe go for the throat. Double Bronze Gatekeeper. Definitely like using one of them this turn.
It's not really going to the throat. It's 2 extra damage. But...
Sorry, what I mean just ignoring the board and going face.
Ah, okay, I see.
Like, finally showing aggression, you know?
Yeah. So that'd be an 18 damage push.
I think I'd want to magnetize the egg, and then I'd play the Mechanical Whelp as well, because if he has to Brawl, you throw in the Whelp so it has another opportunity for a big mini to come out.
Okay.
Because the counter swing might just be enough to kill it, too.
Yeah. I was just counting maximum damage.
So you're pushing 17. Okay. This is still fine. I guess it makes sense given that your opponent's already trying to chew through health.
Access denied.
So this is her protecting her war gear, which is basically a 3-turn clock here for wtybill. Geppetto Joybuzz can find the silence.
Or Omega Devastator.
Or Mega Devastator. Bill sits up in his chair. Just thinking about every card that he's drawn so far. What's the probability that he's going to be able to pick it up?
He's got Militia Commander. He's got an Augmented Elec. He's got a Town Crier, I believe.
Okay.
Looks like this is a Brawl turn then. I don't know. I don't see any other options.
I think so.
This is a big outcome.
Yes. I mean, he has a very high likelihood that he wins the Brawl.
But if he doesn't, he... Okay.
Okay. He wins the Brawl, and now, because CaraCute didn't set up things like the Mechanical Whelp, she has no board presence left. But this Mechanical Whelp follow-up play...
Faceless Manipulator. Her turn's going to be Mechanical Whelp. I don't think you even want to play Galvanizer here because that gives wtybill a chance to just kill Galvanizer by itself, which makes Kangors in this army worse.
Yeah, I think here's the thing. If she played the Whelp and was playing around the Brawl, the 7/7 still survives. She can stack Bronze Gatekeeper and then go for the Faceless Manipulator.
Yeah, I think Mechanical Whelp might have been better last turn.
The more I think about it, it was just more of like a suggestion, like a alternative suggestion in case you don't want to do that.
Yeah.
And the more I think about it, I think it's just like generally better.
Yeah.
Because think about even if wtybill had Omega Devastator and stuff too, you still are better positioned because the Mechanical Whelp survives then.
Yeah.
And then you stack the Bronze Gatekeeper, and then you have opportunities for Faceless Manipulator. Obviously, if CaraCute knew she'd draw Faceless Manipulator, she probably would make that play. But I'm saying you have to play with not just what's in your hand, but what if you draw Kangors? What if you draw Faceless Manipulator? Because when you're like low on resources, you have to start extrapolating how the rest of this game will pan out because you have such a limited amount of options and path to victory. And I feel like that Brawl really has cost CaraCute.
Whoa.
Bill's no fear. He wants to draw a silence right now. And he gets it!
Picks it up.
The Iron Beak Owl, and now CaraCute is relegated to just solely Kangor's Endless Army, reviving the ideal minions. There's a Prismatic Lens.
I believe there's still one more bomb in the deck.
There's gotta be.
So it's possible to pull bomb, an oil module,
She
and
gets another Prismatic Lens.
Same cost. I don't think there's anything that she can play Prismatic Lens this turn and still get Kangor's Endless Army. I don't think there's another Galvanizer. There may be a Glowtron?
There's a... Yeah,
there's no Skater Bot. There might be a Glowtron left.
But it might be an investment into the future. But the problem is you're getting closer to your bombs.
Snip Sap, and there's Kangor's.
The Kangor's for 3.
Cool.
So she gets it. But now wtybill knows what's going on. How does he best prepare for it?
Shuffle bombs, maybe?
I think you go for maximum board presence and damage. I think shuffle bombs is not a bad idea.
So you'd start off with Delivery Drone. The only problem is you have to override Weapons Primacy, but I don't think you're too upset about that. So you Delivery Drone, start with that, see if that changes your game plan at all. And then Augmented Elec, Wrench Caliber, Swing. I'm not opposed to that plan. He does have a couple answers if Kangor's Endless Army comes out, and that's EMP Operative and Omega Devastator.
Okay, then.
Yeah.
And then hope that the Ziliax buffed War Gear doesn't come back. It was a Ziliax.
The Rover. I'm sorry. Yeah. Keep going.
Both Rovers.
Yes. Both Rovers.
What was the Ziliax? It was a War Gear, a Bronze Gatekeeper, and a Ziliax. So it's a 9 attack, Divine Shield, Rush Mech. I mean, I feel like the outcomes of this Kangor's Endless Army are going to be what decide
there's a
the game.
lot of range of what it could be.
Yeah.
And I think Bill's like, you know what? I'm just going to go for maximum board presence and efficiency of my mana.
Yeah.
This is slightly more damage. He knows Kangor's is coming, and he's storing up his removal options. Oh, man. But the thing is, if she gets a Lifesteal minion, the Lifesteal minion doesn't have Rush.
Wait,
She's taking too much bomb damage.
Wait, that was so wtybill mistracked. That was lethal guaranteed.
That was lethal guaranteed. He just had to swing.
He just had to swing with a Wrench Caliber.
He didn't realize that all of the bombs remaining were other calls remaining were bombs. Is that going to cost him?
If this is going to get Ziliax, it got the Ziliax buff.
Woo! And
So-
now she can face his manipulator, TJ. You go for this. Oh my God! What is happening right now? She went from 1 life.
So wtybill mistracked his bombs. You could see the look on his face. Obviously.
He is upset.
I mean, I was like, there's at least 1 bomb left. I would have said 2 at most. So I'm in the same boat as wtybill.
Yeah, he might lose. How do you face this? How do you take this down?
Well, EMP Operative and Omega Devastator just deal with both.
Oh, you're right. I forgot that she has EMP
So it deals with both, but is that enough for CaraCute to?
She has Snip Snap and Annoying Module. It's
So
still really good.
he pushes 9. She's taking 2 fatigue. I still think she's dead.
This update is mandatory.
Dude, he just did 28 battle cry damage across 2 cards. Are you kidding me?
So now the healing is gone for good. There's no healing left. He pushes 9 this turn. CaraCute will go down to 19 with the 2 fatigue. Next turn, he swings with Wrench Caliber, assuming there's a taunt. Swings with Wrench Caliber, puts 1 bomb in the deck.
16 damage, yeah. And then over
With
the
16
course
damage
of
over 2 turns.
3 turns.
So he has 3-turn lethal as long as he can swing with Wrench Caliber twice and not die.
Although Annoying Module can stop that damage going face.
It can stop damage going to face, so that'd be 10 damage plus 3 fatigue.
That's a big deal.
3 fatigue and then 4 fatigue, so that's 17. He still has Warpath and Militia Commander and Security Rover to fight back. He's got Zap. I don't know. I don't think CaraCute gets there. I mean, wtybill looked like he'd been taking pretty diligent notes, but I know way too well, Dan. For casting Warrior Mirrors for 3 weeks without a deck tracker, trying to tally mark count bombs, it is very difficult.
I don't disagree. I think CaraCute has to shove all in here. I don't think you can be greedy and try to get an additional body of Snip Snap in this spot. You have to like stack the biggest, fattest minion on the board and hope that your opponent can't get past it. I think you trade the whelp too into the owl, right?
Yeah.
5 plus that 7 on a clock. Even if Bill doesn't get the Blast Master, he would have 7 plus 8, or sorry, 7 plus 7, 14.
Act now.
Is she gonna get greedy and try to hold him to Snip Snap? She's trading.
Oh my goodness.
She thinks that she can go the long distance of this game.
She can't. Now wtybill, he only takes 5 from a Wrench Caliber swing.
Right.
So I think that, and I don't think you give her an option to trade off her whelp.
Dude.
You got to do the math here. If you Wrench Caliber and Zap Face, she goes down to 18. She's at 13 with 1 bomb in her deck, with the bomb drawn from the next turn. She takes 3 fatigue. She goes down to 10. You swing again with the Wrench Caliber next turn. As long as you survive, you win. I think you trade all your minions here, equip Wrench Caliber, and Zap Face. Play nothing else.
So an alternative play. Let me see. 2, 3, 5 plus the Security Rover would be 6 damage, 11. No, it wouldn't be enough to clear.
Well, you could clear with Militia Commander and Security Rover. That's your whole turn.
Right.
So I think a full trade, Wrench Caliber into the minion, Zap Face. As long as you don't die the next turn, and you can take the whatever 9 damage from attacking in, if you can account for her last card being Snip Snap.
Yep. He's going for it. Bombs. And CaraCute, she's hoping this Snip Snap magnetic ability carries her through. Town Crier doesn't draw anything. He's just trying to get board presence.
He's only got 2 Rushmans into the deck. All right, so I believe this is 3 fatigue.
So now she just stacks all the Snip Snap onto the Mechano Egg.
It's only 2 Snip Snaps, though, and she's dead to just...
Why didn't she crack the Mechanical Web Blaster?
Oh, wait, no, she's not dead.
Yeah, because wtybill
It's
has
4
to swing
fatigue
into
plus
it.
one bomb. I feel like if she had cracked the Mechanical Web Blaster and...
She would have maybe... Well, she would have only had plus 5 damage this turn. It wouldn't have been enough. Now she cracks it open. 2-turn lethal, potentially. Eternium Rover. Wait. Is there now? Does he have just inevitability now? Because he can just Warpath and pass.
He can Warpath twice with Security Rover. And then she has to spend 2 attacks getting in.
Right. Because she didn't have the damage. TJ, the fact that she didn't get the Mechanical Whelp damage earlier means that even if she was able to bust through all the taunts, she won't have to get through.
And wtybill swings now, and that's inevitability. She has to spend both her attacks attacking into the taunts, and then the following turn, wtybill just has to pass, and then he wins with the last tick of fatigue damage. This is 9. CaraCute will go down to 1.
Oh,
and that's it.
Gosh. What a conclusion to this series. And CaraCute hung in just barely, but once again finds herself back at 1 HP, TJ.
Yeah. Kind of a sloppy game at the end, but at the end of it all.
That was an exciting finish.
Yeah.
And wtybill is 3-0, and CaraCute brought a very cool Paladin deck, unable to get there, as the series will finish in a 2-1 favor for wtybill.
Well, as she probably expected, and as I said I expected.
That was a good series back and forth, DJ.
It was. It was a very good series. EMP operatives. I would have said there would have been none in the field.
Dude, without that EMP operative, wtybill was dead.
He was dead.
Without the second Faces Manipulator, CaraCute would be dead. The secondary decks coming out for both these players were massive.
for on both sides, and that's what makes it exciting. If you know that they're going to tech against you, how can you beat that tech?
Yeah.
There's even obvious improvements. You know, there's even questions like what if instead of a Call to Adventure, she had a Light Force Blessing?
Maybe you win there. You touch
Maybe
on
she
that last
wins.
mech.
Yeah, because then it's like it's difficult. Twin Spell on that card
What
is
if-
what gives it so much range to it.
I mean, what if she had just played her primary deck again? She sacrifices the Mechanical Whelps, but adds Light Force Blessings and takes out a Prismatic Lens, which seemed to be a little bit worse there. I don't know. There's a lot of things that we can like speculate on
Right.
that could have changed the outcome.
The Eternian Rover and the taunts were like something that I think CaraCute could never get over.
Yeah.
So no matter how much the damage breakpoints were calculated, I think that's, now that I think about it, it probably didn't have that big of an impact. But I don't know. There's so many like small junctures where I'm like, are you sure? Are you sure? Are you 100% sure about this? You know, like being able to utilize the Mechanical Whelp with the Face of Medivh to help set up even more pressure on the board. Because remember, like there's an opportunity for the post Brawl where she could have pushed damage and then set up a second Whelp, and then after that play Kangors. Of course, that could mess up the entire Kangors algorithm, and maybe she doesn't even get the 11, 13 lifesteal minion, you know?
Yeah.
So there's all these like possibilities, and that's what makes mech decks surprisingly difficult. You know, if you ask Brian Kibler, for example, he actually sings praises about the difficulty and the payoff reward for mech decks, because he says that he constantly finds himself in situations where he's not sure if he should be playing the magnetic as a removal spell or playing it as a disruption tool, or just simply holding it for value or playing for tempo. There's like so many different directions you can go, and it has such strong implications because the deck is fairly linear with how you have to play it, like, or rather, it's not very flexible once you start committing your mana usage to it.
It's a very cool metagame right now, Dan. There's a lot of warriors, but I'm excited to see more of the players that went against the grain and brought things like Mech Paladin, because it makes for some interesting series.
All right, well, that's it for our first series here in round number 3. We're going to take a break. When we come back, we're going to provide bonus coverage for the Swiss portion here in Masters Tour Las Vegas. Stay tuned. We'll be right back.